James Gunn is officially resetting DC, but it's not a full reboot, and that does raise a few questions, more specifically a very big question, and it's what actually carries over from the DCEU, or what should be carried over. Because while a lot of didn't work, some characters and performances really did. They really did work, and they clearly made an impact. So instead of wiping the slate clean and wiping everything all at once, should James Gunn keep a few key pieces or just start completely fresh? Hello everyone and welcome back to AustinPlus commentary, where today we are answering a question that I think is somewhat relevant, considering a lot more DC projects are from James Gunn is being released as of this year. So I think we should maybe discuss the things that happened beforehand and if we should take anything from it. Therefore, who should James Gunn bring over from the DCEU? Because there was a few. He brought back Peacemaker because that was his own child to start with, so he had every right to keep that. But I'm talking about like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Maybe not all of them, but you get the gist. But so without further ado, let's get into it. James Gunn did have a big challenge with this soft type of reset. Sort of, mainly because it was a shit show when he did it, and he probably saved everyone. James Gunn's DCU sits in a complicated position where it isn't just a full reboot, but it also isn't a continuation of the old universe. That creates a balancing act, because keeping too much risks bringing over the baggage that hurt the DCEU to start with, which is obviously not what he wants to do. While resetting everything risks losing a few elements, audiences actually connected with it. The goal isn't nostalgia per se, but it's identifying what still has value and what fits the new direction of the DCU. In saying all of that, what characters are worth actually keeping? So there are some performances that were well received, as we just said, was Peacemaker. Now I know a lot of people didn't like him, but whoever cherished the James Gunn ideology, you will love Peacemaker. And the way they hit a home run with Peacemaker Season 2, it just played right into the hands of James Gunn's new idea, with continuing from Creature Commandos, yet still keeping those characters short and sweet from the Suicide Squad film in 2021. So some performances were well received, and that keeping them feels like a fan service and more like a logical choice to keep, especially when they exist without being heavily tied to the past continuity. Characters like Harley Quinn, Peacemaker, Amanda Waller worked because of the strong casting and flexible roles, meaning that they can transition into this new universe without needing to carry over the entire DCEU storyline. I would say eliminate the whole Joker thing from Harley Quinn as a whole, and the Harley Quinn show, make that into a live action thing with Margot Robbie, and there you go. You can just wipe the slate clean, use that as a flashback, and there you go. Now, there are some characters that are a bit wishy-washy, and you don't know whether you should bring them over, which completely makes sense, and I will go through them now. One of them, goes without saying, is Jason Momoa's Aquaman. He's already playing Lobo. Keep him as Lobo. You made a good decision there. Now piss off. There are also characters and actors who worked individually but came with complications due to how they tied through the previous universe. As I said, Jason Momoa. Yes, his charisma is good, but as Aquaman, but it's not an Aquaman trait, it's a Lobo trait, and everyone's saying that. Similarly, characters like Shazam or Blue Beetle could work moving forward, but only if they adjusted it to a better fit, with the new vision. I would still say Blue Beetle is definitely a character you could keep, because there was barely any ties to the normal one. You could probably keep that and chuck that in there, because that was a very good film. Shazam, other than the only continuity errors that you had at the end of the film, is the only complication you'll have, and then you'll obviously have to bring in Black Adam, which I know some people don't like. So that is your only sticking point with Shazam. You're probably just better off making a whole new Shazam storyline with Black Adam as the villain to start with. But other than that, those two characters I think do have potential. They made a smart decision with Jason Momoa going to Lobo. Best decision anyone's ever made in their lives. It's been going on since I think 10 years now, and it's finally happened. But Blue Beetle I definitely think you could bring over, and you probably should in all seriousness. Now, which characters should not return at all? Now, I kind of mentioned them to start with. it goes without saying, some elements are simply just too tied to the previous era to carry forward without causing confusion, particularly the Snyder era versions of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. While they were popular versions, they are deeply connected to the tone and narrative that Gunn is basically trying to move away from, like far south. That's not south, you don't. And keeping them risks making the new DCU feel like a continuation instead of a fresh start. Now, we don't actually have to worry about that. There is an actor, I cannot remember her name off by heart. She has been cast, but they've not revealed her. Batman has been cast, Jensen Ackles, who, if you don't know, is Soldier Boy or from The Boys or Supernatural, the other bloke. And then Superman's already been recasted, we've already got a film. David Cornsweet, arguably better than, Henry Cavill was still better, but we needed something new. But Wonder Woman has already been cast, it has been confirmed, but we just don't know who it is yet. So I think that goes without saying those characters should be new, fresh, and different. We never had a Green Lantern. People said Ryan Reynolds was a part of that. No one wants that. Even, I know the DCEU was off to a shit start anyway, but we don't need a Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern, okay? The one we have in this show is questionable, but 10 times better, which is not exactly a hard thing to pull off. So why does selective continuity work? Keeping certain elements isn't always about holding on to the past, it's about efficiency and audience trust. Some performances are already accepted and don't need to be reintroduced from scratch, which allows the new universe to move forward and move forward faster. They tested the waters in 2024 with Creature Commandos, then they obviously had Peacemaker Season 2 and Superman last year, and then this year they've got Supergirl, Lanterns, Clayface, and all this stuff that we don't know about yet. So they are pumping out stuff through as we go along. And as I said, however, this only does work if it's done carefully, which they've done to a high degree. They started slow in 2024. Bumped it up a bit by just a one movie and a show in 2025. And now in 2026, they're moving a bit ahead, a show and 2 movies. The pacing is brilliant. Math is mathing, guys. Math is mathing. And also, with clear boundaries, this needs to be done carefully because the DCEU still feels very new and it is reaching a new beginning. That's why some people, like myself, weren't a big fan of Superman, but I know why people like it. It's a fresh start, but there was just some things that I didn't like, and I will admit that. Now, there is a big thing that overrides continuity with this whole new universe, and it's tone. More than anything, what Gunn is rebuilding is tone rather than continuity, and that's where the real focus needs to be. The new DCEU is expected to feel more cohesive, character-driven, and a balance that it's like storytelling, and so any returning character has to fit that vision. That's why they've brought back Peacemaker. If they don't, then no matter how popular they are, they just shouldn't be carried over, which is fine in the end. Now also, when you're trying to bring characters back, it does risk bringing too many and too much back. If too many elements from the DCEU are kept, the reboot risks losing its purpose entirely, because audiences may feel like they're still watching that same universe from all those years ago that struggled beforehand, and a reset only works if it's a genuine shift, and bringing back too much could blur that line and heavily impact them starting fresh. Which I think what they're doing now is fine, and just slightly bringing stuff in there and back. The way they've paced it is brilliant, as I've said that so many times. So, who should James Gunn bring over? James Gunn should focus on keeping what still works without holding on to who doesn't prioritize characters. And that can exist independently of old universe, or while letting go of who's tied closely to its problems, like Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. But they've done that like fresh. The goal isn't to preserve the DCEU, it's to build something better than the few pieces that are still worth keeping. Not everything, just the parts that still make sense. Because a reboot isn't about erasing the past, it's about learning from it, which they have. They've done that, and there's no denying that. But without further ado, folks, that is the end of today's video. I do hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and comment what else you would like to see on this channel. But I hope you have an amazing day as always, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye now. Yeah.